So hey guys, welcome back to New World Carpentry Solutions. Right now we have several planes, chisels. I have a couple that I recently bought from the store. These DeWalt's are maybe a month old. I did do a quick sharpening on them just using my this is a 400 and 600 grit stone that I picked up from Home Depot. I had a job and I needed to chisel out a couple different mortises for hinges and stuff. So I picked this up just so I can kind of touch stuff up out there on the job site. But typically I like to use a piece of sandpaper and work my way all the way up through the grits. I have like 1,000, 1,500, and 3,000 on the back of some of these pieces. So I'm actually going to start out with, in this case, probably 120, just because of the amount of rust that's actually on the back side of this plane. We're gonna get this flat and then work our way up through the grits. I think this is about the only one that I think actually needs this aggressive paper. The rest of them I probably can start off with like 220, maybe the 400 stone right there. These are all in the good category to where I can just start off on the stone. These might need a touch up at like 200 something because there's a fair bit of rust on some of these chisels. I think once I get working, I'm probably gonna let my TV keep playing because I'm currently starting the 5th season. So I'm pretty interested in that. But the process, this is wet and dry paper. But whenever I'm sanding steel, I like to have some type of lubricant. And for this case, we're at the 120. I know the board is flat. Place it flat on the paper and stroke back and forward. I will say, just because I like to wet the sandpaper and do this, a piece of glass, piece of towel, those things will work better because you don't have to worry about getting wet. But these are fresh, clear 1x6 pine boards, so I know these are nice and flat. Once I start seeing them cup or have any issues like that, then I'll, make some more. But this is just, I have a bunch of sandpaper, spray adhesive, and glue it directly to a flat board that is at least flat when you start. And then I'll just make more of these as I need them. But since I have all my chisels out, just came out, I'm gonna go through the process of flattening and sharpening all of my chisels. My old little hand plane, I'm gonna go ahead and get this flat as well so I can trust it and use it. Just get all this stuff tuned up while I have the chance to have some downtime. So that is what we're gonna work on. It really shouldn't take too much. Let me grab a paper towel. That's 120 grit. It's fairly coarse for sanding any type of metal. And yeah, from the rust that it initially was, this is already a significantly step up. But I also want to hit the sides. Well, typically for a block plane, you're not really doing any shooting, so I probably don't really need to hit the sides, but I can feel the rough texture. So I probably will go ahead and hit the sides, get all that cleaned up. For this plane, maybe if I had a number 4, I'll worry about addressing the sides just so I can do a nice shooting board. But for this one, I want to make sure the bottom is nice and flat because that's where the blade and everything else is going to reference off of. All right, as we can see, I kind of can explain this. Typically chisels, low quality steel and things like this, they'll have a low spot. So it's sanding pretty much everywhere around here on the outside, but it's not quite hitting the middle. That means there's a belly in it. So I'm gonna have to keep sanding pretty much until I work all of this metal down to the height that this is. So a few more passes. It looks like we're starting to scratch the center. Not quite enough to get all the way through the rust, but a few more passes, we should pretty much be to the point where I can then move up to a higher grit sandpaper and actually start cleaning out the bottom. But again, before I move through the 120 that I'm using, 180, I have this plane iron that goes with this that definitely needs to be sharpened. So this one's gonna hit the 180, and I believe these 3 chisels are also gonna hit this 180 sandpaper, and then I'll work my way all the way up. Let's keep at it. All right, so now at this point, we've gotten most of this stuff. It's still pretty heavy around here at the back. A few more passes should take care of that. It looks like there's a little bit of pitting in the metal. That typically happens when the rust starts eating away at it, and it starts leaving like little pores inside the metal. But again, this is just a block plane. We're not trying to go for like dead flat, you know. There's not gonna be like a Lee Nielsen hand plane or nothing. I think this one is a low angle block plane though, because the frog on this one, this is like a little small plane. I forget what they call these ones, but this one's almost like a gimmick, but the height and the pitch in which the blade makes contact, I believe this counts as a low angle block plane. So this should actually, once I clean this up, do really nice at tackling like the edges of doors, quick chamfers and stuff like that. So this is actually one of the hand planes that I found in my dad's old toolbox that I've been wanting to kind of dress up, because I'd never had an actual block plane. I think I bought this one from Home Depot one day just because I wanted a small one. And I bought, actually no, this one came from an old coworker of mine's. He just gave me a hand plane that he had. I got it sharpened, and I've used this a few times. It's, you know, come in clutch a few times trying to, you know, get doors right. I've actually hand jointed a few boards because this one is long enough for jointing, you know, where I clamp 2 boards up side by side and just joint the edge. That way I know they work up for a glue joint. So yeah, that's come in handy a few times. This one's gonna be really nice for, you know, fine tuning doors and stuff like that out in the field. So it's been something I wanted to get, you know, situated for a while. And I was just looking at all the other chisels that I have. I have, you know, a couple beater chisels, a couple of them that are actually worth getting sharpened, just so I can at least have a reliable sharp set inside the shop in case I want to hand chop a mortise or something. Never know.
Yeah, I mean, if you'd never killed.
All right, so if you guys remember when we first started, what the sole and the sides of this plane looked like, probably won't go much further than that. I think this would be fun for, you know, a little block plane like this is at least shining. This is only 180 grit. I have to work my way all the way up through the other grits. The body, I'll probably stop at like 400 or something, just to get a small, you know, little polish going on it. But I'm not going to try to completely flatten this. That would be a lot of time here on this. We were pretty much there. Let me actually check. Yeah, for my purposes, that's more than good. Let's see if she's square. And she is. So for my purposes, this is cleaned up enough. Just don't want a bunch of rust as I'm trying to make cuts and shaves. So the body of the plane is okay. So now we have to tackle this blade, which, looking at it, this might actually need an angle grinder. I'm gonna see what I can do, because there's a good bit of chipping right there at the edge. Don't know how much of that will pick up in the camera, because really to take care of that, I would kind of want to, I could keep working the bevel until I work my way all the way past and I might be, let me just see what that does. But first, let me actually flatten the top of the iron.
Definitely broken, but promises to never do it again.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I kind of just went into this and, started getting all the rust off. I'm not even really sharpening this at this point. Right now, what I'm really doing is just trying to refine the edge and also remove most of the rust off of the blade. But it's the same process, working your way all the way through all the grits. First thing you want to do is work the back. Typically, you don't need to work the whole entire blade. It goes the same for a chisel. You don't need to take your chisel and flatten the whole entire back. You really just want to flatten the cutting edge, this front, couple inches or so. So that's the only area that you really need to work up on your sandpaper or your stone. So I'm working this area, trying to get this nice and flat. And what you're gonna do is just pretty much work it back and forth. You can do a circular pattern, figure eight, whatever you feel is, the most comfortable. Because you might be doing this for a while, especially when you're refining an edge. But what you're gonna do is do that. And then when you come to the front side, in this case, I have a bunch of waves here. So I actually need to keep grinding this edge until I work my way back. And again, if I go flat like this and work my way, one, I'm probably gonna cut my paper. Two, that'll just leave me to still having to come back and work the angle. So what some people do is use a angle grinder, a bench grinder. And then when they come up, they end up getting a hollow ground. Pretty much the disc is round. So make contact here and contact at this back point of the angle, and pretty much leave this portion kind of concave, or pretty much like a little curve in it. And then you can come back to the paper and refine that edge. But I don't have a low speed angle grinder, bench grinder. So I'm gonna see what I can do with this 180 paper and see if I can kind of work this back. If not, I might have to go to my buddy's place to get this one touched up. I might just continue on with the rest of the chisels. But the process again is the same. You work the back, and then once you get a burr, you want to flip it over, work your angle, and then you'll end up getting a burr all the way across this back edge. Work the back side, go to the next grit, and you'll keep rinsing and repeating. But for the angle on chisels and wider chisels, it's also a little bit easier because your angle is a lot larger, so it's easier to find and maintain. On this planer blade, it's fairly thin, so it's a really small angle. But once you rock it up until you find it, for me, well, I guess it's easier for a lot of people to find the angle and then do a single back pull. I might do that toward the end when I get to the finer stones, and I don't want to change the angle at all. But what I find a lot easier to kind of work through the material is coming at an angle with the blade kind of canted to the sandpaper. Use this finger to kind of hold it in there. Use this hand kind of lock into a motion, and then I just move my shoulders. Once I have this locked in, I don't move any part of my body to try to keep this at the same angle. I don't know if I'm willing to do all of this by hand just to have a sharp block plane. Again, my buddy does have a low speed bench grinder. Then I might just take this over there to him just to get this touched up before once he touches it up on the wheel and I have a general flat, blade, I can just kind of touch everything up on this 400 and 600 grit stone. These pieces of sandpaper here are really only for, one, mainly wood. But if it's not for wood, then I use the 180, the 120, 220. All those grits are actually just for kind of getting these beat up blades semi-usable. But we're going to continue on, and then we'll switch grits in just a moment.